you doing?
I'm doing pretty great. How about you?
I'm a little hot and sweaty right now because it is a warm, humid South Texas day.
That it is. I'm glad that we got here early to start this yard project. We were able to bring two Ego mowers, and I'll describe why a little bit later in this segment. These battery-operated mowers, I think, are some of the greatest technology, yard tool technology that has come to the market in some time, and this is probably, well, I don't want to say yet if it's my favorite or least favorite mower. What are your thoughts about this mower so far?
Well, I have never liked doing yard work, ever. And I do not mind doing the yard when I get to do it with an Ego mower. Part of the reason is it is quieter, much quieter than a traditional gas mower. It also is, there's no smell. Since you know gas is just a battery, there's no smell associated with this. You don't have that gasoline fog following you around when you're walking through mowing the yard. And it's easy to use. It's a lightweight mower. I can pick up the whole mower by myself, which I don't think I could do with a traditional engine-powered gas mower.
And it folds too, so you can stand it upright in your garage to save space.
Which is wonderful, because we can actually fit two of these mowers in the space that probably actually in a smaller footprint than a regular gas mower would take up.
Absolutely. And speaking of gasoline, as you mentioned earlier when we were talking about this offline, there's the combustibility of the gasoline that we're not bringing into the situation. So there was no priming necessary to start this mower. As we transported these mowers from one city to the other, there was no gasoline smell. And in terms of pros and cons, the biggest con that I've seen with something like this is that when you run into tall grass, which you'll see in some of the photos that I include later, as you run into tall grass, if that's all you're mowing is tall grass, you might be better off using a gas-powered mower. And you also might benefit from having extra batteries on tap for a situation like that.
That is true, although for a traditional situation where most people do not let their yards get completely overgrown before they mow them, so for just regular mowing or regular yard, this works perfectly. And at this point, after using one of these for several years, I would never go back to a traditional gas-powered mower.
I agree, and like I said, I'll describe later in the segment why I have two of these. It took twice the price to learn a lesson in terms of what Ego's customer service experience was like, and it wasn't something that we had to invest twice the price in. It's just that the circumstances led to us having two of these mowers, and for today we were able to put both of them to use at my father's location, which if you've been following along on this segment, you know that the house has burned down, and without insurance on this location, we weren't able to, there are no funds to pull from in terms of hiring services to take care of the maintenance of the location while it's in this state of disarray. So we're out here putting in our personal time and effort into this, and I would expect it to do a yard of this size would cost some type of money, and basically we're just out here taking the time out of our lives so that we don't continue to leave a continuous eyesore that's overgrown, and also so that it's not a hazard. As this grass dries out and everything, it could become an additional hazard in addition to the hazard that's already here that has to be taken care of. So I don't know. I really don't think that there's any comparison between the gas mowers and the electric mowers, except for the on-tap power that changes if you're mowing a bunch of tall grass that's really difficult to mow through. So for most people who haven't got an overgrown yard to tend to, I believe that this is probably something that you would want to have. It's easy enough to put the battery on the charger. 20 minutes later, you have pretty much a full charge where you can do a whole other section of yard if you need to. If you're like us, we have two batteries to do our whole yard, which is more than sufficient most of the time.
Yes, usually one battery can do the whole thing, unless it's a little thick, and then I sometimes have to switch to that second battery near the end, but that's a rare thing.
And their whole lineup of work tools uses the same interchangeable battery system. So if we had a weed eater that was an Ego weed eater, we would be able to use that tool as well. They have blowers. I've seen snow plows that are by Ego, and they even have a little battery backup unit, like those Yeti batteries that we have.
Oh, wow, I didn't know
where you can
that.
plug in the batteries and use them to run your appliances. So I guess that's about it. Mostly I wanted to put together a quick segment. I've been wanting to talk about this mower for a long time. A friend of mine at some point, when I told him about battery operated yard tools, told me that anyone who uses battery powered tools is, have you ever seen Cobra with Sylvester Stallone?
I actually have not.
Well, he makes a reference to Rambo. Someone asks Sylvester Stallone, whatever his character is in Cobra, I guess. They ask him, what do you think you are, Rambo? And he says, Rambo's and he basically uses this word that, in some genres is acceptable. In this particular case, I'm going to leave it to your imagination and tell you that this mower is absolutely superior to a gas-powered mower for so many reasons that the cons, I think, are far outweighed by the pros. So,
I would agree.
So anyway, that's what I think. That's about it. Until next time, have a great day. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking with me through this segment and watching what I had to say. When I reviewed the lawnmower segment that Kim and I just recorded earlier today, I forgot that I had mentioned that I was going to talk about why I paid twice as much to learn the lesson that I learned with this Ego lawnmower. And the reason I paid twice as much for this lawnmower than most people would pay is because I actually bought two of them. The first one I bought, it about 3 years, almost 3 years into the ownership of this lawnmower, it began to experience some difficulties staying powered on. And we attributed that to there's a clip system in the handles that you have to clip in order for the mower to engage when you squeeze the push bar. And I don't know what all the parts are called, so don't ding me for that. I hope you're still liking this video and subscribing and commenting. And I hope that you're enjoying this video and the references to movies that may or may not be accurate and stuff like that. But more than that, I hope you're enjoying the presentation where it's just really off the cuff and I'm telling you things that are almost in a rambling manner. Praise for a lawnmower, actually. It's something that, like I said, I'd wanted to do for a while. And the reason that I wanted to do it was because basically my first lawnmower, my first Ego, started to fail, and it had I believe it was a 5-year warranty, and that's how much they stood behind this product. And all we had to do to get that warranty taken care of was take it back to Home Depot. And so when we took the mower to Home Depot and they told us it was going to be about 3 weeks before we heard back, well, at that time, I had enough in my account to buy a second mower, and I fully intended to give that other mower to someone else at some point in time because I liked it so much. And so I bought a second mower just so we could maintain the yard and not get, dinged by the homeowners association or anything like that. And within, I would say, less than 3 weeks, we heard back that our mower was repaired and had been sent back to Home Depot. And so now we had a second mower, the first mower that we had actually purchased. And the checklist of repairs showed quite an extensive repair list. I believe they practically replaced the whole mower except for the shell on the outside. So the whole point is we suddenly had two mowers. And there actually was a time when I offered the mower on Facebook to anyone who, specifically to someone who had had their lawnmower stolen. And the person misunderstood and thought this was a corded mower and they didn't want anything to do with it. So essentially we just kept it in the garage because, as we said earlier in the segment, we can fold these mowers flat and stand them against the wall. In fact, I'll include a picture at the end of this clip. But that's what happened. We left both of the mowers standing in place, and we just really used one when we do the yard for the most part, except for on some rare occasion when we used both of them at the same time. In this particular case, if you've been following along with this series, you'll realize my dad has been going through some personal circumstances, and his house recently burned down, and we were maintaining the yard because the grass was getting high. There's no one tending to the yard. So we drove out of our way to go out of the city to mow the yard, and having two mowers
we were able to make some significant progress. Now, before we got into this, I knew since the grass was going to be high, it was going to be a challenge for these electric mowers. And so we weren't able to cut the entire lot, although I know we would have been able to cut the entire lot if this was a normal, routinely maintained yard. So with the two batteries, one mower could have done the trick. Two mowers with two batteries would have helped half the workload. And the fact is, driving to this location today, I knew that I was going to come up just shy of the power that we needed. And all of the grass was super tall, so we actually only were able to tend to about half of the yard that needed cutting. So for that reason, I suggested that a gas-powered mower would have powered through all of those tall weeds, and it still would have been bogged down though. You still would have had to tilt it and, you know, clear out the grass clippings from the undercarriage and all that in order for it to run more efficiently. I also wanted to mention that today, between the time when I started recording this segment for presentation today and when we actually got back to our own home, I was questioned by yet another person about the reason that I'm asking for monetary contributions. If someone were to rent out a lawn service and for a property that they don't own, it would cost money. And I don't necessarily have an income from anything that's tied to any kind of a daily working association with any kind of, I don't know what to call it. I'm basically not in the workforce that we typically consider a workforce. I used to be I'm not a corporate person. I've been out of the world so far. I've forgotten the lingo, but not really. I haven't really forgotten it. It's just kind of it's a memory. It's not a good or a bad memory. It's a memory, and actually, it is a good memory because I miss my corporate crew. I don't necessarily miss the corporate income except for during this exact circumstance when someone else has added to the burden of expenses, something that I myself might be faced with. So since I'm being faced with this, I'm going to ask you what you might pay for your lawn service. And if you pay for a lawn service and if you feel in any way generous enough to click on the description link below and pick out that PayPal link that I have in order to make your own contribution that would be for the same equivalent of a lawn service. Even if I don't take that contribution and apply it to whatever I spent today, whatever we spent today in our time and effort, we will apply that contribution to the future mowings of this lawn until it is no longer necessary for us to indirectly maintain someone else's property. So with all that being said, thank you so much for listening to these segments. I hope that you appreciate, share, comment. Mostly, I hope you enjoy your day in addition to everything else that's going on. The paramount, the pinnacle of everything that we're trying to achieve here is bringing some kind of success to your day. And in this particular case, even though we didn't mow the whole yard, I was able to showcase these beautiful products. And I say beautiful products. We had two lawnmowers. I'll show you a picture of that again at the end of this clip, how we were able to transport these mowers in the car. And hopefully it resonates with you. If it resonates for you, again, click on the description. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to comment with whatever your heart's content is. And also feel free to contribute to the expenses that are occurring that I've also been indirectly absorbing while my father is in need of assistance. Thanks again. Peace, love, and all that old school stuff.